he set people free because they were treating people with mental illness like like caged animals, and he kind of came and set people free. But change agent was a word that was used, and it's just basically a person who was affecting change, a person that's a bridge, a person that can contribute to wellness. A person who is willing to represent recovery proudly, a person that'll go the extra mile. Clock out, but change agency never stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't just run with it; you branded it, son.
Facts. I need to. I need. I need to. Somebody probably got that incorporated though already.
Yeah, I'm sure Change Agent Cooper's out there waiting for you.
Facts.
So how'd you get here, man? Like, tell me a little bit of your story. Like, where you're from? How did you land in the recovery scene as this kind of somebody that everybody looks up to, bro?
Well, to be honest, man, like, I bounced around. Like, I'm a straight North Carolinian. You see, I got it tatted, bro. I got the state tatted on my forearm. Crazy, but I was born in Forest City, North Carolina. I'm a country boy now, but I was born in Forest City, and then my mom and my dad moved to Cleveland County. We stayed in Shelby, a little town called Lawndale, and then my mom and I eventually moved to Hickory, and I stayed in Hickory until about the 8th grade, and started getting out of hand. And my mom allowed me to come live with my dad so that I could get straightened out, because my dad had came up here and got his stuff together. He's a veteran, and big up to all the veterans that's tuning in. But he's a veteran. He came up here and got his stuff straightened out, and I came and lived with him. And that's how I ended up in Asheville. But as far as, like, recovery, man, I played around for a while, bro. Like, you want to talk about diversion. Like, I figured I took advantage of any type of diversion that was in existence at that time. It wasn't a lot like it is now, but, like, I went to Dark Cherry. I was on probation and going to meetings to get my sheet signed. But then I caught a very serious charge, and that was the best thing. Prison was the best thing that ever happened to me, going to prison, because at that moment I could sit down and I could work on myself, because I'm a hustler, so when I was using, I was always able to use because I was always able to hustle up the bread. Mm-hmm. And so when I went to prison, I felt that pain. And when I got out with a vengeance. I got out with a vengeance, bro. And I can remember correctional officers talking down to me like, you'll be back. I can remember some of the old heads in there that was like repeat offenders, saying, you'll be back, saying stuff like that. So I had a point to prove. So when I got out, and I went to meetings. I went to 12-step meetings when I was in prison. And shout out to this guy. It's a guy named John S., man. And he used to bring meetings into the prison. You feel me? And he treated us with respect. He didn't treat us like an opus number. Actually, he had been to prison before himself, so he got it. And that had an impact on me, man. And so when I got out, I kept going to meetings. And I was on the house arrest, helped out, too, because I couldn't just go do what I wanted. And I was living like in BFE in Candler. And so I had a point to prove.
What year was that when you got out?
I got out in 2011, March the 5th, 2011, bro. And when I got out, and I went to the meetings I could go to, mostly a 12:30 meeting I used to go to. I'm about to start back going to that 12:30 meeting. Baby, can you hold me accountable for that? I'm really considering making that meeting we had talked about, my home group. Like LeBron, I'm taking my talents to Silver Door. No, just But and I just kept doing it. And it wasn't a lot of young people in recovery like that when I got out. So I was still kind of like, I had a point to prove. And me being in the city where I was from, like Asheville, I've been living in Asheville most of my life. And so when being in the city, I was seeing people I knew. So I had a point to prove to them, not a point to prove to them, but I was like, I show you, I show y'all. And I started working steps. And when I started working steps, it was life-changing because I took the steps serious because I was really interested. And it was life-changing. And, that's pretty much how it started. But how my recovery really got strong was from pain, bro. Like surviving hits. Mm-hmm. And
hits in recovery?
Yes, hits. Surviving hard hits, bro. Like, like the oppression with a work culture. Like having to survive that. Because like with me now in the workforce, I had to get used to the work culture. And with me coming from prison and this can't nobody change me motto, this is me, this is who I'm gonna be, this is what it is. It was difficult. So there were times I would take rage walks on and vape breaks. You know, I burn a coil out in one day.
On a rage break.
Yeah, a rage break. And but making a lot of meetings and kicking it with people in recovery, specifically the predecessors. Yeah. You know, because you know, the old school they didn't really intimidate me. You know, because I got structure, because I come from gang culture. You know what I'm saying? So I understood structure. So I understood you got something that I want. So I need to allow you to show me how to get there. I got that. You know, I learned that in the streets. Mm-hmm. And I learned it, and I started to apply it, and it worked. And it was magical to me, and that's what I still believe in to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that like kind of moments while you're incarcerated that like influenced you or really like solidified that decision to commit yourself to changing.
Oh, boy, it's funny. So I say this all the time, right? So I had a spiritual awakening. Before I had worked all the 12 steps, right? So I was in segregation. I was in the hole, and it's funny. I was in the hole, and I'm this big guy, you know, and a gang affiliated. You know, some people knew who I was. You know, people knew who I was. And, you know, walked the yard big and bad, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
How long had you been in there before this happened?
At this time, probably about a year and a half. Because you'll notice my clean date is January the 16th, 2009. But I actually went in early 2008. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't get clean. I got clean in prison because I was getting high in prison too. You know what I'm saying? But so about a year and a half in, but I was in seg. And a mouse came in my room, right? And and so I'm in the room, and I see the mouse. I'm throwing everything. I'm throwing toothpaste, my little bucket, like my slides, you know, pillars, making all this noise, and the CO telling me to shut up. You know, so like, shut the hell up. What's going on? Da, 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 da. I'm like, man, it's a mouse in my room. Blah, 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 blah. And he laughing at me. And like, it's funny to me at times, but it was so humiliating. And you know, once it was all said and done, I'm sitting there in my cell like, is this life? You know, I'm sitting here getting laughed at, scared, really afraid of this damn mouse.
It's a little mouse.
This little ass mouse. And I'm in here making all this noise, getting laughed at. And when I got out of SEG, you know, I was like back on the yard. I was skinny because when you go to the hole, you get light skin and you lose a lot of weight because you don't have canteen. You know what I'm saying? And when I got back on the yard, I can remember going to meetings and stuff like that, and going to the meetings more and more, and I stopped hanging around with the people that I was hanging out with. Well, actually, when I got out the hole, a lot of the guys that I was hanging with had got shipped out, and so it was easier for me to start going to meetings because a lot of the guys that I was, you know, just like we say in recovery, changed the playgrounds and playmates. Mm-hmm. When I got out the hole, a lot of them guys had shipped out. So I was just kind of like,
you're almost like looking for your identity,
facts,
so to speak.
Facts. And it was a guy named Robert Robbs, man. Lavelle is his name. He's a pastor. He actually lives in Forest City now. He's a pastor, mm-hmm. And he was a guy that invested in me. Like he was in cook school at Craigie, and I can remember him coming up to me and checking me like, hey bro, what you read? You read anything? What you studying? And he would challenge me to read the word. And he knew that I was a Christian. Like it wasn't like I was flaunting my Christianity, but he knew I was a Christian because like at night I would read. I had got into reading Proverbs and Psalms, and so he was like G-checking me, like asking me what I was studying, and like he'd walk up on me on the yard like, what's up, bro? How you doing today, man? Everything good? And it blew my mind. You know what I'm saying? It blew my mind. Like somebody actually gave it to him. And me and him talk to this day. You know, and he's killing the game, bro. He really is. But he played a big part of that solidifying that change when I was in prison too.
Yeah. And you had that backbone because you grew up in a Christian home?
Yeah, my mom and my dad are both Christian. And, you know, my mom, I can remember days. My mom used to wake up in the morning, listening to gospel music, praying, speaking in tongues, shouting in her room every morning. Like every single morning.
That was your alarm clock.
Yeah, that was crazy. I'm telling you, that was like consistent with my mama. And she, you know, she's a country girl. You know, she grew up in Cleveland County. you know, and that's how she was. And my dad, you know, he's always been involved in the church, even through his hard times. He was still committed to the church. So the God thing wasn't an issue for me. Like when I was tripping, it was me pouting and being rebellious on purpose. Yeah. I still knew God was God, but I was just like, I ain't got time for you right now. Maybe later. Yeah. You know.
Now, growing up, did you have any who were your role models? Like, did you have anybody?
That's the crazy
coming
part.
From like a Christian home.
Yeah.
Was there anybody that in your life that was a positive role model? Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is, like, my mom was a believer, and my mom was a believer. Rest in peace. She passed away May the 22nd of 2018, and my dad is a believer, but they wasn't together, and they both had their struggles. Like I can say I come from a dysfunctional home, but they done a good job with me, you know, because they instill values in me and stuff. But, you know, growing up in the projects in some of them important years, like up until, like I said, the 8th grade, I looked up to deep dope dealers. Mm-hmm. You know, I idolized them. I really wanted to be them. They were like God to me. Like I see them pulling up back in the day. They had them spinner rims, bro. You remember the spinners on the cat? It was 20s back then. You know? Pull up on them 20s with them spinning rims. I'm like, oh, look at God. Step out with the chain on. Mm-hmm. You know, all the girls like him, and he fresh. You know,
you wanted some of that.
Yeah, I wanted that. I wanted people to look at me the way that I was looking at them. Mm-hmm. You know, and those was my role models. And I ended up getting in, doing what they did at a young age too, bro. Like the first rock I ever sold, I was 12. Wow. I was 12, and that's a fact.
Would you say that some of those values that your family instilled in you were what allowed you to kind of thrive in recovery to kind of hit the floor running in recovery because you had those values to kind of lean on?
Well, this is what I'll say about recovery. So the fellowship that I attend, it's a simple spiritual, not religious program, right? But what I will say is God put that program in my life to help me get closer to him. You know, and I heard many people say this before, like people go to church to keep from going to hell. People go to recovery meetings to keep from going back to hell. And so what happened in recovery was these same values that my parents had and were doing their best to put into place were spiritual principles. When I got into recovery, the step work made me focus on spiritual principles. And so spiritual principles wasn't foreign to me. So when I start looking at them, I started being able to say, okay, I'm working on honesty right now. I'm working on courage right now. You know, I'm working on humility. I'm not being humble right now. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to being a yes man, you know, I'm people pleasing right now. So this ain't what I need to be doing because this doesn't show me being courageous. Mm-hmm. So recovery just taught me how to sharpen the application of those spiritual principles on purpose.
Because it was easy for you to relate to them.
Right.
Because of what you had.
And plus, with the steps, I basically had to look at either my past and what went wrong, how I was feeling then, you know, because I'm in the 4th step, you know, the primary spiritual principle of the 4th step is courage. So now I'm courageous enough to look at my past. What was going on then? Where was I insecure at? You know what I'm saying? And then when I get to my 6th step, I'm looking at, you know, my defects now. You know, how am I acting on these defects? So when you ask that question, you know, about the values, was it easier to operate within those values and thrive in recovery because they raised me that way? It's really hard to say, because I know some people that was raised better than I was, and they ended up worse off than I was, even monsters. You know what I'm saying? So it's really hard to say, bro. That's a good question, but it's really hard to say.
Yeah, I only asked that because of like a lot of, in my personal experience, a lot of why I've been able to kind of accept and kind of like grow personally, spiritually, all those things, and kind of like really accept where I'm at in my life and like work my program and all those things because of those values. Most importantly, like the work ethic that my pops taught me at like such an early age. It was like, if you're going to do something, you're going to do it the best that you can.
Best that you can.
Yeah. And like, because of that, like I remember like walking into the treatment center thinking like, okay, like this is it. Like this is my new life. I'm going to do this. Yeah. Right. And I never looked back. because I had that high sense of work ethic. And among many other values and many other things, but that was like probably the most important ones. That like I'm gonna do whatever I do, I'm gonna be the best at it. I'm gonna do the best that I can. So what happened next, man? What was like you settling over in Candler? You got out. You're hitting
man. I was in Candler, bro. It was crazy. It was like the only black family within a damn 25-mile radius.
Yeah,
it was weird, man. Like I'd be on the edge going to the grocery store because you know when you go deep country, you know how racism can be. You know, when I was fresh out of prison, big as hell with dreads. You know, so tatted up. You know, I was getting funny looks, and it was hell. It was times I'd be at the grocery store, and I felt like I was on a yard with potential issues from the other side. But
how did you handle those experiences? Those moments?
It was all recovery, bro. Like I'm the kind of guy. Like early in like now, I don't have to call my sponsor as much as I used to because my network is on fleek. And for the viewers who don't know what on fleek is, it means that my network was impeccable. But like back then, like I was blowing my sponsor up. I was always talking to people about my uncomfortable emotions. Like I'd be like, man, I might even call somebody when I was in the grocery store. Like, man, this mom keep looking at me like I'm telling you, bro. And then they'll be like, man, you ain't on the yard no more. What you trying to do? Go back. And just a person saying something that simple would tone me down. Just that reminder, you know, iron sharpens iron. But I got through that, you know, get back home and school and work and things like that.
How quickly did you get into school?
ASAP.
Right away?
ASAP, yeah, man. Because by the time that I was released from prison, I was working for this program called A New Direction. And it used to be called the DART program, but I was a treatment assistant. And so when I was at Wayne Correctional, I was kind of specializing in working with the guys that was coming from Polk Youth Center. And the guys that was coming from Polk Youth Center was off the damn chain. Like, listen, bro. And I was like big homie, you know, I was like big bro. So I could kind of talk to them and reach them, like, because while they was in this program, this New Direction program, I think it would knock 30 days off their sentence for completing it. And it talks about criminogenic behavior, you know, the behaviors and stinking thinking. It's not just the drug program, but it just talks about, you know, monitoring your thoughts. We used to do thinking reports and stuff like that. But like, and I can remember one guy I was locked up with. Shout out to my boy BG. He down there in Hickory, North Carolina. He boxing now. And shout out to my boy Blake. When I was in prison, I was like mentoring people then, bro. Like I had guys that I was rocking with that would like to fight. And one of them, bro, I kid you not, man. I was like, man, you fighting someone, why don't you box? You know, you da-da-da-da. I was like, when you get out, I better hear about you boxing, bro. Like real talk. Like that's how I used to talk to him, you know, because he used to get into fights about bull. I'd be damned if he ain't boxing for real now, bro. Like right when I got out, he was when I created a Facebook, he was sending me pictures and remind me to show you some of his stuff when this is over with. He was sending me pictures like he's boxing for real, bro.
In the
like,
gyms,
yeah, he's really boxing. Yeah. He's a professional boxer now. But the mentoring stuff started in there.
But that came natural to you.
It did.
Why?
I think it's because I had my dad in my life and I'm an only child. Because I always wanted to have a brother, you know, but I was the only child. And I always... You know, in cities, I would have when I stayed in Hickory, my friends had big old families. And then when I was up here, you know, some of the people I rock with, they had big families. But I really didn't have any siblings. So I've always yearned to have a brother. But then with me having my daddy in my life, I had some things that a lot of people that looked like me didn't have. And I can remember catching myself saying stuff to people that my dad would say to me. Like, even before I went to prison, bro, when I was in the streets, a lot of my friends, I was kind of like the big bro, you know.
In the streets?
Yeah, even in the streets. You know, I was doing a lot of wrong, but I was a good-hearted guy. You know what I'm saying, to be honest. And there's a lot of good-hearted people that are in the streets. They just don't have another way out, but or don't know of another way out or don't believe in the system. But I really believe I was able to make those connections with people, for one, because of my connection to God. Because I was, like, when I was in prison, I was doing a lot of praying because I was hurting a lot. And it was a lot of times like, God, just help me get through this day. You know, I don't want to go back to the hole. I want to have peace. And I believe God just started to go ahead and use me. Because I can't just glorify in it like it was just me. But I really believe it was a lot that came from me having my dad in my life. And just me being able to sharpen people organically. You know what I'm saying?
It's through like pure natural connection.
Facts.
Right?
Yeah, peer support.
Peer support. Peer support in action.
Yeah, peer support in action, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
talk a little bit about how your spirituality grew while you were in prison, and like you were talking about praying every day, and like how did it change?
I'll say, man, just
from
like,
before you went in.
Just like it's a lot of people that go to church that ain't really that spiritual.
Yeah, well, that's what I'll be honest with you, man.
Yeah,
because I don't identify with any religious organization myself, and it's probably like me being judgmental, but that's a big part of why I can't commit to like going to church every Sunday.
Yeah, and I heard a speaker at the convention say something that made a lot of sense, man. One of the things he said that made a lot of sense was he said, the problem ain't religion. The problem is religious people. You know what I'm saying? It's not the religion, it's the people. And I believe what I learned when I was in prison was the difference between religion and spirituality. Mm-hmm. Because to be honest with you, while I was in prison, I was considering other ways.
You're investigating other.
Yeah, I was investigating. Mm-hmm. I did for that. I was thinking about being a roster because I already had dreads.
You fit right in.
And then
they would welcome you.
Yeah, and then I was, I had some of my friends, from the East Coast of the state. They was Muslim, and we got along so good. So I was investigating some stuff. But like once I went to the hole, and when I was in that hole, I had snuck my radio in. I would listen to gospel music on Sundays and just be at peace, praying, reading the Bible, stuff like that. And it just kind of grew on me. And then recovery. I keep leaning back on 12-step recovery because it taught me how to put the principles into action, and how to gauge it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it taught me how to really do an inventory, of myself.
An honest inventory.
My man, a rigorous. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Talking about those inventories, is that something that how often do you reinvestigate those? How often do you go back to them? Well, right now, I'm going back through now, because after I buried my mama, something happened to me, man. Whenever mom passed away, bro, it was hard. That whole process, man, like I had to be strong and I had to work because the job I had was grant funded, bro. So I didn't have benefits. I didn't have paid days off. So I was having to work. And then I was still squeezing my home group in when I could because I was hurting, and I was traveling, and it was so hard, you know what I'm saying? And so when all of that happened, I had to go back through them again because I can't say I was the kind of guy that go through all 12 and start over and go through them like that. I was more so paying more attention to the spiritual principles and where I was struggling. But when you ask about the inventory, bro, as needed. PRN, but now I am going back through the steps, you know what I'm saying? Because I had to, I really had to go back through them again, just, because I'm, Lord willing, if I make it to next Wednesday, I'll have 10 years. So it's that time. And that's why, hey, babe, hold me accountable. I'm trying to make that 12:30 meeting with my home group. Remember that's the second time I said, I'm trying to make, I ain't gonna have a big celebration this year, but 10 years, brother?
Yeah, we gonna go out to eat, and I'm gonna go speak to my homeboy. Got a program in Asheville called My Daddy Taught Me That.
I've seen that on Facebook.
Yeah, I need to get him down here on the radio show. Yeah, he's solid. That's another person who has been inspirational to me. I met him around the time when I had got out, and he invited me to come talk to his guys. Dang, that's crazy. We talking about that. What a coincidence. Because I was just now in the PVA Community Center today, and that was the first time that I had a speaking engagement. Since I had been out, that was the first place that I went.
Okay.
But Keenan Lake is his name, and he's like, man, he has really lived a sacrificial life to give back to young men, in the community. It's crazy.
And that was the first place that you went?
That was the first place that I spoke.
Yeah.
To a
outside
group
of a meeting.
That was the first place that I had told my story outside of a meeting, and he invited me. And continue to invite me, and me and him are good friends now.
Yeah.
But when I think about some of the people that kind of invested in me, like something as simple as him continuing to say, "Yeah, man, you're welcome to come anytime," that meant a lot to me because he's a highly respected person, and coming from where I come from, those weren't the kind of people that wanted me around. You know what I'm saying? It feel good. You heard?
I was asking about the inventories because in the program that I've been associated with, Refuge Recovery, they also have an inventory process. Okay. And what I found works for me is I will revisit them annually, every January. Okay. First of the year, get back into it. It's like 75 questions, and it is kind of formatted or based off of a 12-step model, I would say. So I'm like halfway. I just started here we are, January 9th or 8th or something like that. So I just started like a week ago, I'm about halfway through it. And like every year it's like new stuff. It's like, and I do it all on my computer, and I have like all the files from the last 4 years, and I kind of like, it's a refuge recovery inventories or inventory process. And what I do is like I keep the files separate, and then I kind of compare them to. I'll share them with my. We don't have a sponsor. We have a mentor, but I share them with my mentor, and then I'll compare them to last year, and then I'll like combine them together. So I have like each year's and then a running thing, and to look at it as it grows and as it changes. But it really looks. You can look back. You can look back.
Dang, that's deep.
What it does is it asks you questions about how your behaviors created suffering in your life, because it's kind of like a Buddhist model. So it's all about like suffering or discomfort. So it's like, how did your behaviors create suffering in your life? But it's a thorough inventory. Just
and you said it was how many questions?
It's like 75 questions. There's first truth inventory and a second truth inventory.
Yeah, I like that. But I might have to use that for some groups.
Yeah, it would definitely be worth looking at. I use it in a lot of our refuge recovery groups. Like if we're just looking for a topic for a meeting, I'll just pop up one of the questions. I'll just throw a question out there, as a topic for the meeting for that night. I'll do that often. Pardon me, guys. I'm battling a little cough and cold for the last 4 or 5 days. I apologize for the noise.
It's that tricky weather.
It is.
You see, I'm in shorts.
Yeah, I know. I told you, man. You're definitely from North Carolina.
Mountain man, beard gang. Hashtag.
Yeah, man. Yeah. They always talk about that colorway crud. You heard about that when you're out here?
Well, I didn't really get to hang out as much because I'd come down here. Now I would hide out in the library and focus. You know what I'm saying? But like I didn't really hang out a lot down here. Good friend of mine, Mariah. She went to Reynolds. She's a lot younger than me, but she worked at AB Tech for a little bit too, and she transferred down here, and that was one of my friends. And then another guy I knew that was going to school down here. I'd see him sometimes, but I'd come down here, go to class, and maybe go to the library and grind, and I'm gone.
Yeah, busy man.
Yeah.
Going into AB Tech, right out of prison, what was your field of study? Like, how did you decide where to start? Had you graduated high school, or did you get your?
Yeah. I graduated high school. I dropped out in the 12th grade because I went to AC Reynolds High School. I went to AC Reynolds Middle School, and I stayed at AC Reynolds until the 12th grade. And then I started getting out of hand, and my dad married this Nigerian lady, and then all I can say is he married her. Me and her didn't get along, and I had to go. And back then I had a resentment, about that. But now I get it. Now that I'm a man of God and I'm married, I understand that, his husband and wife, and, that's what it is. And if I wasn't getting along with his wife, in which, rightly so, I was tripping. I had to go. So I ended up moving back to Hickory, and I dropped out. I ended up dropping out, getting in the streets. And my mom told me in 2002, she told me, like, you're not going to be standing in this house selling that shit. You're going to either go to school or you're going to get a job. And so I went back to school, and I graduated in 2003. But, and we're going to AB Tech out of prison. I knew what I wanted to do because I had been a treatment assistant. And, a lot of people in recovery want to be counselors and want to give back. And I believe everybody should have a chance at doing it. And that's why I like thank you, baby. That's why I like the peer support specialist thing so much, because it gives people an opportunity to see what it's like. But it wasn't in existence like that back when peer support wasn't like that when I first started school.
You were kind of doing it on your own.
Yeah. But so I started school going in the human services program, because I couldn't do CSAC because I had a serious violent charge that makes you wait to be able to register with the board. So I still went through the motions with the human services and finished that degree. But it was very weird being in school. One of my moments that I always tell when I tell my story is like, I remember I was in an abnormal psychology class, and they was talking about substance-induced psychosis. And people was laughing whenever was in the book reading, and when the teacher was talking about how people can get on certain substances and they see things that aren't really there. And I can remember searching carpets, bro, for that piece that I thought I seen. Or I can remember peeping out of windows. Like, I remember I used to rest in peace to my boy Yuhan, man. I remember back in the day, you know, I was always the person that was tripping. I was always the one that did the hard drugs. My friends wasn't the ones. But I can remember peeping out a peephole. They're like, man, Pac, sit down, man. Stop doing that shit, man. Sit down. I'm like, nah, man, you don't see him? You don't see him? Look, you know, blowing everybody's high. But everybody in that class was laughing when they was talking about substance-induced psychosis, but it wasn't funny to me. Yeah. Like, I was quiet.
It was scary.
Yeah, because I remember.
Yeah. I'm with you,
I remembered what it was like. But, you know, and being, it was cool. It was cool. I was proud to be in school, though.
Did you find the transition, like, into the classroom challenging at all? Was there, or did you fit right in as a student?
I fit right in because I was fresh. I mean, I was swagged out. I got clean at 24 years old. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So when I was in school, I got out. I want to say I was 27 when I got out of prison. So I wasn't too old, and I still had, like, before recovery made me grow, I was still kind of not a little boy, but I had grown a little bit. But I'd say I was 27, but I was more like I was 21, 22. And so being in that classroom with them, I fit right in. And at the community college, it ain't like the university. You have a lot of people that's in that age range, and a lot of people that wanted to, you know, go to school and get a trade or whatever. So it wasn't too bad.
I ask you that because I do a lot of work with the collegiate recovery programs over here at SCC and at Western. And, like, a big part of, like, I'm, like, kind of like a planner, forward thinker kind of person. So, like, a big part of, like, what I do as the student intern and president of, like, the club is like succession planning. And I'm like, I do a lot of my work is done, like, out in the community, trying to connect with those in recovery and get them back into school. Wow. Show them that there's a way. And there's a lot of, like, fear, and there's a lot of, like, resistance to taking those steps, and there's a lot of excuses.
That's dope, though. You know, bro. Like, oh my God, that's dope. That's dope.
Because who's going to be there? Like, we started this collegiate recovery program a year ago. So, like, when I graduate next year, who's going to take my spot? Yeah. Who's going to do that work that I'm doing right now?
God, is it all from the community college?
Yeah. Yeah, and AB Tech, we, like, had talked with Cheryl Dean or something. Is that her name?
She got a Sharon Kincaid.
Sharon. We had talked with Sharon because she was trying to do some stuff over there.
Yeah, they try and see and that's another thing. Like, when I first started working at AB Tech, like, I was hired as an administrative assistant, and I was basically getting a break from working in the field because I was working at the crisis unit, the detox.
At ADAC?
No, at Neil Dobbins.
Neil Dobbins.
So I was working at Neil Dobbins when it first started to transition into more crisis than detox. Because back in 2011, I started working at Neil Dobbins. It didn't take me long to get a job. I had to persevere.
So you graduated and got a job, right?
No, I got a job before I graduated,
okay.
Bro. Yeah, because I had the juice. And I was actually practicing the spiritual principles from recovery. And it shows. Like, when you're living the steps and putting the principles into actions, people going to notice it. You feel me? So I ended up, this lady named Pam Coppage, big ups to Pam Coppage, she gave me a chance. And Keisha Wynn, they gave me a chance at Neil Dobbins. And I came and worked there, and I worked there for a while, but I had to take a break because it was difficult, you know, and I was burning out. So when I started working at AB Tech as an administrative assistant, you know, AB Tech didn't really know who I was in the community at that time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so around my desk, I kid you not, bro, I had like a little open area for my workspace. Man, it'll be full of people from recovery, you know, black people that knew me from the streets or whatever that was in school. It was always full of people. So after they started seeing that, you know, they was kind of wanting to see if I could get involved in helping with that. Like, it was a lady at UNC, I forget her name. She reached out and tried to see if I could help connect UNCA's program with AB Tech. But at that time, you know, I was busy doing my job. And, you know, an administrative assistant is a very intense position. So I was doing that and mentoring, you know, young black guys that was coming back to college. So it was hard for me to commit. And I respect recovery that much that I wasn't going to half-ass do it. You know, I wasn't going to say, yeah, I can do it, and then
not be able to follow through.
Yeah, and if it's any viewers on here, if you overcommitted, don't have to do anything that got to do with recovery because people's lives depend on it. You know what I'm saying? Don't overload your plate and think you're going to do something that got to do recovery. Because, you know, that's life-changing work. You know, it's not like it's not advanced manufacturing. You know, we're talking about a person's life is in your hand. Mm-hmm. But that's the reason why I didn't say that I wanted to be a part of it, because I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Mm-hmm. How do you share that message with the newcomer or with that person who's interested in getting into school or doing some of the things that you're doing? How do you share that message of like commitment level to like stay focused and stay on the grind and continue to like?
Well, the thing is, bro, like,
because you got it, but you're like, in talking and knowing you very shortly, like, it seems like it's a natural skill that you have.
Well, like in the streets, or in prison, we call it G-checking. Mm-hmm. You know, when you G-check somebody, you make sure that they know or that they are who they say they are. And you can tell by certain responses that they give. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I learned in the streets, and I still apply that to recovery. And that happens even today as I'm a career navigator with people. People think they going to just come to me and get a job. But nah, bro, we going to have a conversation about what your recovery looks like. You got a sponsor. What's your service commitment? You know, how many hours a week are you working? You know what I'm saying? And that'll determine how many hours I'll co-sign off of. Because I can't stop somebody from registering for 12 credit hours. But if we have a conversation and they have respect for my recovery and who I am, then they'll take heed to my suggestion. You know, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. With these, we're well on our way. One thing that will defeat us is the attitude of indifference towards those. Right? So if a person is actually operating within the principles of recovery and they hear me say, bro, based on what you're telling me, you do not need to be in 12 credit hours. That's how I talk to them. Because I want to save your life and your financial aid. Because if you think you're going to keep taking 12 credit hours and dropping classes and getting aid, no. They done changed that, bro. You know, you drop a class if you want to, you're going to be paying out of pocket next semester. So, and that's how I talk to them. You know, realistically speaking, from my experience as a student, as well as my experience working at AB Tech, seeing people running out of the financial aid office crying because they don't get their financial aid, I want to save the person. So I have that type of conversation. But I also want to know, like, you know, how strong is their recovery? Like, you got a sponsor, you know, how you know, stuff like that.
Yeah. But what if they're not?
Then I won't co-sign it. Yeah. I tell her, bro, man, look, I'm telling you like this, you better make sure your recovery is strong enough, because school will eat you up. Mm-hmm. School and work will eat you, it'll take you out. I seen it happen. You know, I done got many people, before I had this job as career navigator, bro, I was helping people get jobs. Like, I've been
on your own.
On my own. Yeah. Connecting with HRs and everything. I can't say all their names on this radio show, but I was connecting with HR departments when I was an administrative assistant. And when I was a tech at Neil Dobbins Center, I was connecting with HRs in different places like that, helping people get jobs at that time.
How did you build connections with these businesses that are hiring people? Were you just
community
out on the
service?
And just
communities, I'll say community service, church, and just meeting people and speaking engagements, youth events. Because I used to be a Christian hip hop rapper, and I used to rap. I can still rap, by the way.
Where's your YouTube channel?
No, I ain't pushing it. No, I ain't pushing it. I am on, what's it called? What is that other thing called that a lot of rappers use? Reverb Nation.
SoundCloud, Reverb?
Yeah, I got some stuff on Reverb Nation. That's actually some good tracks. But like, I would meet people from speaking there, you know, and then I would meet people. One time I spoke at a scholarship luncheon, and I made a lot of contacts there. Just really speaking engagements and word of mouth, and people ended up, you know, wanting to meet me, have conversations, and it started going from there.
What is it? I mean, we're kind of like jumping forward a little bit, but what are those conversations like with a potential employer? When you're
straight up.
Yeah, when you're walking in there saying, "Hey, this is what I do."
Yeah.
Right. I'm a career navigator.
Yeah.
Helping those in recovery or reoffenders.
Yeah.
Find a job.
Well, whenever. One thing I do, I pray a lot. First and foremost, I pray a lot, bro. I pray, like Dre 3 Stats said, I pray so much I need knee pads. But one thing I will say, when I go and I meet with an employer, somebody in HR, once they want to meet with me, that's a couple steps ahead of the game, even if they're willing to meet with me. Once I get in there with them, I need to know about their hiring policies, about what charges they can work with and stuff like that. And then I just explained to them, what type of support that we have in place for the people that we're referring. Because
you're not just a referral agency.
Yeah, no. These people that, if I refer a person to a job, this person is either working with, they got a case manager. They might have, if they had if they're working on mental wellness, they're working with an RHA or Family Prayers or wherever they're working at. They have support. You know what I'm saying? They're at Goodwill. They have a case manager. I'm connected with them. Spark Foundation. People that go to Spark, they got groups. They got people with lived experience, licensed clinicians. Or Green Opportunities. They're well equipped to serve the community because it's people who have walked the walk. When I think about community action, LifeWorks, like I can legit sit down with HR and I can educate them about resources. And that usually blows their mind. That usually blows. And they usually buy in for the simple fact that they see, hey, this could work. Because a lot of former offenders, and then when I tell them I'm a former offender, that gets them, especially if I got my tattoos covered up and I just got on the button up, and then I tell them, like, I would have never guessed. I know. But the thing is like, former offenders work out of the gift of desperation. And desperation is a gift. And I talk to them just like this, bro. I reached their heart. Like, I remember when I first got in the field, people was trying to critique me and tell me how to talk. And I was like, no. Because people that rock with Change Agent Cooper are going to rock with him based off of their heart condition. Yeah. It's not going to be because my way with words.
And it's so easy to see through that bullshit too. Yeah, the authenticity is just not there.
And that's why they're going to work with the program that I have or the people that I'm rocking with. It's based off of passion and knowing that these people need a chance and they working like they got a point to prove.
And they do.
And they do. And they usually do well. I've had some people screw up, especially early in the game. And it gets me high. Like I see somebody post a picture on Facebook and tag me and at work in their outfit or they message say, thank you, God bless you, stuff like that. Man, it shows me that God is using me. Yeah. For so long in my life, I was evil. I was representing darkness. It's times I look at myself in the mirror at 4:00 in the morning. And I didn't know what was next. I didn't know if I had a purpose. And now I got, I have an opportunity to give back. You know what I'm saying? It gets me high. So when I first got this job, you get a job. I'm just throwing jobs out there. And I got burnt. One guy, I had got a job. He crashed like instantly. And then my guy, Brent Bailey, he's the sensei. Him and Jonathan Knight. Jonathan's from Goodwill, Project Reentry. And Brent Bailey actually did my reentry class when I was in prison. Okay. And now we're working together. But Brent had to coach me. He was like, Philip, man, you got to make sure you know the people first and da-da-da-da. So I had to learn since October 2017. I've learned a lot.
To spend more time with them and really find out. Yeah. Ask them a lot of those questions that you talked about earlier. Yeah.
Because at first I was trying to give everybody a job. You need a job? I bet you I can get you one, But no, I need to know you,
that
bro.
That hat said job agent,
huh? Picture that.
So let's just reset real quick. And who do you work for? What do you kind of do? Because we kind of like jumped ahead into that. So like, what organization do you work for?
So I work for AB Tech Community College, and I've been working for AB Tech for 4.5 years. That's my full-time job, and I'm a career navigator. And what I do, it started out like on a case management piece, getting people in trainings, but it ended up being more of really ex-offender advocate. You feel me? Change agent.
Were there a lot of former offenders coming to AB Tech for schooling and trades and stuff like that?
That's how it started. And it's so crazy. Like, I wish I could do a full video on how it came about.
Because you like basically created your own job. Is that what I'm hearing?
Facts.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you what happened.
Because you were an administrative assistant.
I was an administrative assistant. And then I ended up putting in a notice because I was starting to burn out. And I'm the kind of guy I will burn out. I don't mind burning out. And I said it in the article about me that they wrote up. Like, I don't mind burning out as long as people's lives are changing. As long as my wife is happy, my child support is paid, my kids eating Chick-fil-A, you know what I'm saying? And I got me a pair of J's, you heard? Mm-hmm. People's lives getting changed. Burn it down. Burn, baby, burn. And so I put in a notice, and I started working for Asheville Recovery Center, and I was a case manager there. And I swear I was there like maybe a week. And then I got a call about another job that was coming open that would be perfect for me, and that job didn't start
from AB Tech.
Yeah, in workforce development, but that job wasn't specific to. It was supposed to be specific to former offenders, but it wasn't necessarily career navigator. And so when I was in that job, I'm trying to help people get back in school. But the thing is these former offenders, they would go to school, but they need their bills paid. You feel me? They gotta pay, you know. And so what ended up happening is this ended up coming about because I was able to demonstrate a need and
to the university, to the school.
To the school. I was able to demonstrate that need to them as well as the Mountain Area Workforce Development Board. You know, and my direct supervisor, Shelley White, she's a mastermind. Like, you can be talking and she'll be thinking, she'll draw something on the board and she'll put something together and say, this is what you need to do, you know. And that was basically how all of this came about to where we are now. And I want to speak on something that's in the works, but I have to go in front of a very important committee tomorrow at 3:00 p.m. Woo! And if that happens, I need to come back on the show and tell you about what that was. But that's going to be, that it's a big deal. But it all started from, you know, administrative assistant that was the only black male in the building. So all black people gravitate towards what, you know, to me, because it's like, hey, bro, hey, can you help me out in the lab? Man, I'm having a problem with this computer. And you know me, change agent. Yeah. Hell yeah, here I come, you know. And
good thing I took those IT classes.
Yep, facts. And then, you know, seeing people in the community, like my bro Adrian, I'll say, you know, my boy Adrian Crawford, he works at the Kyle Lynn Burrow Child Crisis Center. I was on intensive probation at this time, and he was talking about going back to school. He wanted to go back to school. I was basically working for AB Tech before they was paying me. I helped many of people apply for AB Tech and do their FAFSA before I worked for the school. And now Adrian's he's a damn tech supervisor. Wow. You know, he's killing, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so that part of the mentorship within the college came natural. I just happened to be an administrative assistant that you couldn't keep in a box. It just couldn't happen. Yeah. And so I left and I went to Ashford Recovery Center and I'm still there. I still contract for groups. Shout out to Ashford Recovery Center, ARC. And Next Step Recovery too. Susan Stater, you need to have her on here if you can, or Terry. I can't wait. I got so many people you could have.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. But like Next Step invested in me too. You feel me? Like I was a case manager there, and then I still do groups there. But like Susan always invested in me and gave me opportunities, man, to where my resume is beautiful now. Like I have a beautiful resume.
Just now. Grinding, bro.
Grinding.
Yeah. Yep. So what is the process, right? When somebody reaches out to you through AB Tech, looking for some career navigation, what do you do?
I just got a message since I've been on here, to be honest with you. I got one. Look, I ain't lying. I can show you a message right now. You see what time it's like?
7:48.
So the thing is, it's time to sit down. And right now, with me being in the position I'm in now, creating a program. Now I'm creating a program and I have a demonstrated need. But now this program, this baby of mine, this Frankenstein, woo, Jesus. Yeah. But it's in the works. But now I wouldn't want to have step with them. I respect this person that messaged me just now. I respect her enough to not have step, because I know she ain't gonna just reach out to me with somebody that ain't about nothing. So, you know, what I'll do is I'll reach out to Goodwill. I'll reach out to Jonathan and them, and I'll say, hey, I got somebody that just got out, and I need y'all to meet with them. And so they'll meet with them. Project Reentry will meet with them, right? And then they have some people in the Career Center. My homegirl, Rayana. What's up, Rayana? She works in the Career Center. Her dad used to be my sponsor. But anyway, he wouldn't mind me saying that because he's like a recovery champion. But so they'll go there. They'll get a resume. I'll see what their goals are. I'll ask them what jobs they had when they was in prison, right? And see what they working with. And they'll get placed somewhere. And we'll have an expectation to hear from them on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, you know, and we'll hope for the best. But the employer where he goes to will know that he's working with us. And the employer will know if he gets out of hand, we need you to reach out to us first. Do not give up on him. Reach out to us so that we can coach him.
So if there's any issues that arise, the employer contacts you guys.
Exactly.
You guys kind of address it.
Yeah.
Whether it's like attendance or whatever.
It better not be attendance. I cuss them out. You got to remember, I ain't no clinician. I cuss their ass out. Now, just playing.
Well, I think that's, like, you hit on that a couple times tonight, and I think that's, like, a big part in, like, we were talking before the podcast, and that's a big part of, like, why I do this and why I didn't want to work in the field, even though I'm pursuing a CSAC and, then, you know, through the Human Services Program at SEC, is that because, like, you can talk to people the way that I feel best, and I don't have to like dance around and
with
use
them ethics.
Yeah, with ethics.
Codes of,
codes of ethics. Yeah,
them
absolutely.
Codes of ethics.
But you can actually have those real conversations.
Yeah.
Right, and that you have so many limitations and so many things like holding you back and preventing you from like doing pure, authentic work and like really getting somewhere and calling someone out on their bullshit and like seeing through it.
You
and
get
like,
it.
Yeah, and so like, but I can right here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
you
like
can do that.
we don't have to. We don't answer to anybody, right? Like we don't have somebody telling us what we can or can't say. And we don't have to sell anything. We don't have to like. We can just have those.
And it's attractive.
It's attractive.
And for people, and that's what I noticed, man. Like I heard a speaker say something about how people can be abrasive or something like that, or like people that's too assertive or something like that. I heard the speaker say something, and that was one thing I did disagree with, because these principles are just as valid today as they was when the traditions was formulated, bro. And the way I feel, like some people don't. I mean, the people, when a person has hit rock bottom, their feelings is the last thing they worried about. You know what I'm saying? They like, help me. If you got to cuss me out to get my attention, so be it. Because that's what happened to me. And that's what worked for many people I know. And so people need that rigorous honesty, but they need love too. Now, it's a difference between just being mean to somebody all the time without loving them. But there's also a time, and I've done this in many meetings, to where I'll call a person on their BS and I'll find them immediately after the meeting.
Follow up,
yeah. I'm following after the meeting. I'm running up on you like, "What's up, bro? Just checking in with you. I know you heard what I said, but I want you to know this is my number. Like if you want to understand why I said what I said further, then hit me up."
And I think it's about how you deliver the message.
Yeah.
Like you can be upfront, you can be direct, but still be kind.
Yeah.
Right, and still be loving, and it come from a place in your heart that is pure.
Yeah, and that's a skill. And that comes with being around for a while. You know what I'm saying? Like it comes from practice, trial and error. Because I know I've probably carried the message in a harsh way before. Because I ain't perfect. You feel me? I ain't perfect. My grand sponsor done cussed me out and hurt my feelings before, but he has saved my life.
Yeah, and that's how you continue to grow.
Facts.
By recognizing that.
Facts.
Right?
Matter of fact, I remember one time I was on the phone with him. Back in the this crazy. Look at God. So one time I was on the phone with him when I was on my way to class down here, and my mom had got back with I guess technically my stepdad, because they had been together so long, but they had got back together, and I was so mad at him, like I wanted to beat him up. And I'm on the phone with my grand sponsor, and he cussing me out like, "What do you think that's gonna prove? You soft as hell. You gonna beat the old man up?" Like that's how he responded to me, bro, when I was my maddest. You know what I'm saying? You think that's what I wanted to hear? Was that nice? But that's the way that's what I needed. You know what I'm saying?
I love it, man. I love it. Gosh, you're cracking me up, dude. You are.
Yeah.
How do you I want to get into like the church a little bit, because you're so active in the church, right? Yeah. And that's like your service work there is like plays a huge role in your overall wellness and your recovery, but your wellness and your lifestyle, I guess you could say. How did you come to learn that? How did you come to learn that you needed that aspect in your life? And then how do you consistently like apply it? How do you consistently show up every Sunday morning, whether it's pouring down rain or a foot of snow or whatever's going on?
I'll say this. I finally figured, and I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna reiterate. I said that there's a difference between religion and spirituality. So recovery taught me to apply spiritual principles. And in the 12th step, the primary spiritual principle of the 12th step is service. After having had a spiritual awakening, you know what I'm saying? And so when I go to church, a lot of times I go to give back, specifically where I'm at now, because there's a lot of volunteering, the way that things operate. It's like we're not consumers, we're contributors. That's the way it is within that system. So a lot of times I go in 9th step mode. You know what I'm saying? I'm going like this is my 9th step, you heard? This is my 12th step, And so I show up on that part of it, as well as, this style that I have is, it's kind of like, it can't have a definition, because, you know, I love Jesus. I cuss sometimes. I listen to Meek Mill. I listen to Casting Crowns. I listen to Cardi. I probably made a spiritual Cardi B post this morning.
I saw you.
You know, you know, but I believe that God is using me to be the bridge. You know what I'm saying? Because some people are building bridges, but some people are actually the bridge.
Yeah.
And because of that, I'm just allowing God to use me, you know, because like when I think of church, I go to church for a reason. You know, I pay my tithes and I contribute to, you know, with my service, because but that comes from my relationship with the God of my understanding. It ain't to please nobody. It ain't because I want people to like me or none of that. You know, because you'll notice, like, it ain't even many black people that go to my church. So a lot of times I be feeling out of place, to be honest. But I continue to go and do service work because I know that I'm making God smile. You know what I'm saying? But it is a unique part in recovery to be able to have that balance. You know what I'm saying? Because some people, they get in the church and then they don't work steps. They just go to church. But church is more than just a Sunday event. Like, I am the church. You know, I'm the only Bible that some people will get close to. You know, and being consistent over a period of time, you know, I've been able to have people come with me to church that didn't even used to like church.
Yeah.
Because over time, they see it working and they see me being Jesus. You know what I'm saying? They ain't used to seeing people actually be Jesus. They used to people just judging them. You know, I'll tell them the truth, but I'm also going to love the hell out of them. Literally. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
But you're literally doing there at Elevation what you're doing at AB Tech, and like when you show up on Sundays, you're bringing folks with you, right? You're bringing a crew with you every Sunday, inviting new people in and all kinds of things, right?
Yeah, and I like that, because another thing I really like about my church, though, to be honest, is that, you know, it's not traditional. It's not the way we don't have a dress code. You know, and no shade to churches that have dress codes and stuff like that, but it's just easier for a younger person to come there and not feel judged and have to worry about, like, I had one of my homeboys that I'm gonna invite. He messaged me, my boy Jay. He had messaged me about coming, and definitely need to have him on here. But he he came to church one time and he was like, I ain't got nothing to wear. I was like, I tell you what. Tomorrow I'm gonna wear a sweatsuit. Just since you coming tomorrow, I'm wearing a sweatsuit. And he came, and we was both in our sweats. Yeah. And it was others in sweats too, but it's just like that, you know.
It kind of like helps that like sense of community and fitting in and all that stuff. What I like about you, man, what I love about you is that you are authentic and true to yourself, right? And even though you've changed your lifestyle and you changed the way you live, and you're a man of God, you're a man of recovery, and you're a leader in this community, you're still Philip Cooper, right?
Facts.
And you're still listening to Meek Mill, and you're still listening to Cardi B at the gym.
Man,
and
that new Meek Mill is the best album that has been out.
And that's
wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go on that.
I was going to when I was driving over here, because I got to tell you is that a lot of times, when over the last couple years, man, since I like had you on my social media, is like, if I'm looking for new music, I'll just go to his Snapchat story, right? And I'm like, what is hot that I need to listen to today? So one of the questions that I was going to ask you was, what was the best album of 2018?
Meek Mill.
That one? It just came out right at the end, right?
Right at the end, man.
Right at the end of the year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then Kodak Black, that song Testimony. Yeah. That's my theme song right now. He said, I'm God sent. He used me as a vessel, like he used me as an instrument. You know, just that first verse, man. Like, I play it all the time. But you had said something about authenticity, right?
Like, so many people in early recovery, they're like afraid of like that full. Like, they think that if I'm gonna change my lifestyle, then I have to like change who I am. Yeah. And I have to be like somebody that I'm not. Right? Yeah. By going to church on Sundays and by committing myself to God and by going to 12-step meetings, I have to like be who I'm not. And that's not the case.
It's not.
You're living proof of that.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm tell you, man, like, I tell people to this day, like, I don't have a master's degree, bro. I'm about to finish up my bachelor's, Lord willing, at Lenore Ryan. Shout out to Lenore Ryan for the acceptance, you know. But, like, my biggest asset is my authenticity. Because people who deal with me because I'm real. They don't deal with me because of nothing I have. They deal with me because they know what they gonna get. You know, I don't like I had conversations with people about code switching. You know, I'm the kind of guy, like, I know how to sound more professional at times, but when I get fired up, bruh, ain't code switch what code? You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how to tone that down. But I have genuine friendships with people because they know the real me as soon as possible. And I feel like I have to continue to do that because I don't have time for fakers. Like, I need you to either love me to death or hate me. I need to, and I'll find out because I can judge you by your actions. But I like it that way. Because in my life for a long time, you know, there were times when I was growing up, man, you know, I'd be around some people that didn't really like me too much. I didn't really like them, but we still hung around each other and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't never want to have to live like that again, man. I want solid, genuine relationships with people. And that's what recovery has taught me. And there's something from a book in recovery. It says, you know, relationships can be a terribly painful area in our lives, especially when placing unrealistic expectations on ourselves and others. Now, an unrealistic expectation of me is to feel like I'm going to hang with somebody who ain't real and me not have an issue with it. Because the fakeness is going to bother me. It's my obligation to hold people accountable and hold people and hold. It's my obligation to hold people accountable. You know, in the Proverbs, it talks about the lips will preserve wisdom. Our lips will preserve knowledge. Preserve means keep alive. That means if our lips are going to keep it alive, that means we need to be talking about it. And who we going to talk about it with? Our friends. Mm-hmm. And if I can't hold you accountable, what you think I'm getting ready to get dull because of you? Boy, bye. Shoot.
Man, I'm choking, man. 2018. Perseverance versus everything.
Everything.
Huh? Where did that come from?
Man, I'm gonna tell you. Like,
how did you live it?
Yeah, I seen a T-shirt. This was back. I think it was like a T-shirt that said Detroit versus everybody.
Yeah.
I seen it, and then I seen a T-shirt one time that said gratitude versus everything. You know what I'm saying? It was a company called Grateful Apparel. Shout out to Grateful Apparel, and they had a hat that said grateful, and they had a T-shirt that said gratitude versus everything, and when I seen that, and after going through my 10-step, because my grandpa, like the recovery family I come from, we are about the principles. Like, we don't talk about steps without talking about the principles. Mm-hmm. And I can remember talking about perseverance and really understanding what perseverance means. You know, that steadfastness in the face of adversity. And I was thinking about school and driving, that drive and the job starting to get on my nerves, but I had to persevere because I couldn't quit. I got kids. You know, that's the thing. Like, I knew at this moment I had to I didn't have no other option. And I remember getting them shirts made, and it blew up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it got put to the test. You know, when my mom got that prognosis, it was like my T-shirts got put to the test. You know, because I had to really see what I was made of, bro. You know, when I was dealing with I remember one time, you know, I was headed down there because my aunt and them had came. And shout out to my aunt Betty Jean and my cousin Todd and my cousin Ganita Nunu. You know, and my wife, of course, she had my back. But I speak on my family because we was all like pitching in and watching mom when she left from the facility. We was working shifts. And I can remember one time they called me. It was like, you need to get down here. And I was like, I'll come. You got to wait till I get off work tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. And then my mama called. She said, get down here now. So I hit the highway, zoom down there. I get down there. I go to get some gas from Marion. I'm in Marion, bro. No. Yeah, I was in Marion or Morganton. I had my wife's keys. Oh, no. I had to turn around and come all the way back to Asheville, bring the keys, and then go all the way back to Hickory. Perseverance. You know, that was just an opportunity for me to have another prayer with God coming down that mountain. You know, come down that mountain. Yeah. One more time, come down the mountain and pray it up one more time. You know what I'm saying? But perseverance has its place. And, you know, I believe that in my life, I had to go through those things because it's going to be some people that come after me. Like, a good friend of mine just lost his mom. You know, another friend of mine lost his dad. Like, it's in June. He lost his mom in June. And a friend of mine, close friend of mine, a guy I used to sponsor, he lost his dad. So I was able to make it through this so that I can empathize and I can provide peer support, you know, because, it's hard to support somebody that lost a family if you don't like, because it's a feeling, it hurts. It still hits me at times. Like, I could be in my car sometimes and I just go to cry. Like, I was at the convention speaker Sunday. You know,
you were speaking?
No, the main speaker was. I usually cry when I talk about my mom. To be honest, I'm getting better because I speak a lot. But I was at the convention Sunday, and the speaker was talking about how when his mom was on her deathbed, how she told him that, you know, that she wasn't worried about him. She knew he was gonna be just fine. And I can remember, one time I was in my aunt's driveway. And my mom was in the Jeep with me. And, you know, we was trying to figure out like who she was gonna stay with, right? And I had got upset because my mom didn't want to be in this facility, but I just wanted her to be taken care of while I was working, because I was real overprotective. And I can remember, you know, I was upset because she made a decision without me to go stay somewhere. And, you know, everybody loved my mama. And I remember I was mad, and I was going back and forth with my aunt. And she was like, don't worry about it. I know you're going to take good care of me. You do what you got to do. She said, get off that phone and do what you got to do. And it was, you know, she trusted me with her life, bro.
And you did it, though.
Yeah.
Until the end.
Yeah, man. But, you know, when Ron, oh, damn, I broke his hand. The guy that was speaking was talking about how his mom told him that he knew he was going to be, that she knew that he would be okay. And that's the way my mom was talking to me in the end. You know, she would be bragging on me, the nurses. Like, she was so proud, man. But, in another big moment in my life, like, my family don't know it, but, like, we was having Thanksgiving dinner, right? And usually, like, one of the more respectable family members would be the one that prays for the food. And we was there, and my Aunt Ann was like, come on in here, Philip, and pray for the food. And it hit me. So I know God is real. You know, I don't push religion on nobody, but I'm living proof, bro.
There you are.
They asked me to come in there and pray for the food. They don't know it. Like, I remember praying, and I hurried up and went outside to vape because I just wanted to have a moment to myself. But when she invited me to pray for the food, and then they did it again. Down at we had this little Christmas thing. Said, get on in here, Philip, so you can pray for the food. And that mean a lot, man. And I know my mama happy. And I know everything I went in that perseverance thing, bro. Like, even with this job I got now, man, I done had some hard times with this job, bro. Like, cause I experienced the struggles that my clients experience. Like, I feel it with them. When they get told no, I feel it with them. I had a client one time, bro, and she's solid. And I tell her to this day, I tell her, I will feel like I'm good at my job once I place you somewhere. That's when I'm going to feel like I can do it, because she got some serious charges. And she got hired on somewhere, and then they rescinded the offer, bro. After she had put her notice in, bro.
At the old job.
And I felt that. When that happened to her, I felt that. You feel me? But this perseverance thing, like, it didn't stop me from pushing. It didn't stop her from pushing. She's still pushing, and she's gonna be my next. I'm claiming that, man. This year, she's gonna be my biggest success story. She's gonna be my biggest success story, and that's when I'm gonna feel like I'm a beast in this. Like, some people say, Philip, you're good at you're killing it, but when I place her, that's when I'm gonna really feel like, yeah, I got the juice. You know, I don't know why I went off on that. Till we started talking about perseverance, you got tears and all kinds of shit.
You got the juice, bro. And Well, you just described something that you hit on at the very beginning of this podcast.
Yeah.
And that the majority of your growth in life came from overcoming challenges and overcoming these obstacles, facing these obstacles, getting through them.
Yeah.
Growing from it, learning from it, and then giving it away.
Facts.
Giving that to somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you just described.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that many folks struggle with is when these air quotes little crises pop up.
Yeah.
How do you overcome them? Who do you turn to?
Mm-hmm.
What can I learn from this experience? How can this experience allow me to continue to flourish and to continue to grow and to continue to be a better person? Yeah. Because I agree with you. Like in all of my significant growth came from these challenges in recovery, not before recovery.
Yeah.
Things like you just described in recovery, where I'm like, how the fuck am I going to get through this shit? Like, I don't know.
I'll tell you, bro. Like, I went through an unhealthy, difficult breakup back in 2017, bro. And I'm telling you, man, being able to survive a breakup with no mind or mood altering substances, that's when you know your recovery is at. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And even with some of the difficulties I faced since I've been in this role, bro, because this role that I'm in now has grown. Like, it did not start as a career navigator. Like, I've legit went in rooms and had to be had to be the voice of the people. And it's hard, but I'm not gonna stop. Yeah. But you say, how do you deal with it? That's why it's so important to have that network, that them bros that hold you accountable, them people you can call on and get a prayer. It's why it's important for you to have a woman who is on the same page as you. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times guys get it twisted. They chasing that tail, and they're not looking for real relationships, or they don't have solid guys in their circle because can't nobody hold them accountable because they on that only God can judge me BS.
But many folks don't want to be held accountable.
And they don't. You know what I'm saying? And those are the kind of people that you won't catch in my circle. You know, because it works both ways. Like, people call me out all the time, and it ain't always comfortable. One of my homeboys, Dre, you know what I'm saying? Every time we get around each other, we looking for something to call each other out on.
Fishing, baby.
But we love each other to death. You know what I'm saying? And then I got bros like I had my bro Michael Hall hit me this morning, bro. You know, he hit me this morning. I'm getting ready for work. And he texts me, he say, hey, bro, call me as soon as possible. So I call him. He said, the Lord told me to call you so we can pray. You know what I'm saying? These are the kind of people I have to have in my circle, man. Yeah. When I was in the streets, the people that I rode with were people that was about the same cause as me. You know what I'm saying? I learned some things when I was all active in the game. You know, I learned some things. It was transferable skills. You know what I'm saying? So I know how to operate within a unit of men who want to be in recovery, who want to flourish, who want to be fathers, who want to be good workers, who want to be role models, who want to be peer supports, who want to be role models, who want to be mentors. We got these same goals. So we can call each other out like, bro, this ain't lining up with what your purpose is. And when somebody says something like that to you and you want to be spiritual, you're going to feel it.
Yeah.
And if you fight it, you're going to walk away and feel it.
There's no getting around it.
Yeah, you're going to feel it. But that's what happens from being spiritual over a certain period of time. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm perfect, because I am a sinful man. You know, I have my defects in character. I have not arrived. It's a process, not an event. You know, but like you said earlier, man, you know, I've grown from all the things I went through since I've been clean. Yeah. Since I had to figure out, how am I going to get through this?
Through feeling it, kind of leaning into the experience and like taking that, I don't know, learning to like tolerate the discomfort. Yeah. And that like we grow up with these minds that think that our life will be lived or created on our terms. And things aren't going to go the way that we want them to. And if I lose my shit because I don't get my way, that ain't living.
Nah, that ain't recovery.
That ain't recovery. That ain't living. That ain't spirituality. That ain't being a Christian. That ain't anything.
Yeah, and it's some principles that's just straight universal. That's why I like peer support so much. I wish I could be like I wish I could start some type of regulatory organization over peer supports. You know what I'm saying? Because like when you in a peer support role, you are a role model. Period. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not up to you if you're gonna be a role model or not. If you are working as a peer support, then you are in a position to you are mandated to be a positive, effective role model. You're gonna have your defects that you have to deal with, yes, but that don't show when you on the clock. That shows whenever you go and share with your network. That's why they ask if you got a year clean, because they have you been in recovery and who can attest to your recovery, because they want to make sure that you know how to handle your shit. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're in this field, period, I mean, when I think of licensed clinicians, half of them about crazy as hell. Whether they in recovery or not. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So when you a peer support, you're going to have to deal with the same stuff they dealing with. You just didn't go to school all that time and might not get paid all the same money.
You don't have all the letters behind your name.
You're basically doing the same exact thing.
They're probably more powerful in some places.
Facts. Mm-hmm. Facts, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's so important. Like you, and I'm glad you mentioned that. You know, if I'm living a spiritual life, that's not my response. Now, it might hurt. I might be kind of like that at times, but it's not going to be a harsh, prideful no. Or that means I'm operating in my defects. And if I comfortably operate in my defects, that means I'm complacent. And they say for an addict with a substantial amount of clean time, complacency is what'll kick his ass. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You can't be confident in going against spirit. One thing that would defeat us is an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles. You can't be comfortable with being intolerant and indifferent towards that for a period of time. That's complacency.
Risky business right there.
Yeah, walking on daggone, what is it called? Sinking sand.
Yeah. So perseverance was the word of 2018. What's 2019?
Praise.
Come on, give it to me.
Yeah, so the word is praise. And
this is a collaboration, right?
Yeah, it's a collaboration. Because, see, at my church, at Elevation Church, where I attend, you know, we do a word. There's what's your word for the year for your family or for you, and we praise. You know what I'm saying? And like each morning, I'm pretty sure my neighbor's upstairs. I got this little audio, little circle UB roll thing, and it's a wireless Bluetooth speaker.
We just take like 4 or 5 pictures and turn it sideways too. Oh, yeah. Just like in action as we're talking like both.
Yeah, make sure you can see that change, baby. But so, you know, we wake up in the morning and I have a playlist. It's on fleek. I'm talking about now. Gangster rap has its purpose, but now, you know, I listen to my gangster rap, especially when I'm in the gym. Mm-hmm. You know, and sometimes when I'm on the way to work, I still got my Tasha Cobbs, but I still might slide over to some T.I. motivation. Better get on your job. But like, praise is our word of the year because, man, last year, and I ain't get to talk much about this, so much has happened. In 2018, man, we went through this process with trying to get a house, and we got the land home package, but like through it all, we had these issues with the water department, issues with the sellers, issues with neighbors that wouldn't let us get an easement. You know what I'm saying? Issues with you know, and then of course the stuff with my mama. But through all of that, we were still praising. We were still praising the Lord. We were still believing God for a breakthrough. We still were saying, you know, whatever is going on is meant to bring us closer to the God of our understanding. You know, nothing can break us. We're hard pressed but not crushed. You know what I'm saying? All of these things. And, you know, in the good word, it says perseverance produces character. Character, hope, and hope never fails us. You know what I'm saying? So I believe there's a place for all the pain. But this year we praising. And big things are happening. It's crazy now. Viewers, y'all see today is January 7th. This is the beginning of the year. I have a very important meeting tomorrow that I never would imagine doing. This meeting tomorrow is like huge, bro. Like me, you know what I'm saying? And we closed on our house.
It's a done deal?
Big thing, yes. And we getting ready we should be in there March or April, hopefully, if it don't keep raining crazily. But big things are happening. God he's showing. So we're not just praising God for what he's doing for us. Cause like I said, I was praising God when Mamas was in hospice. I was going to Elevation Hickory. Shout out to my boy Timothy H. I seen him at the convention killing the game. Me and him was going to Elevation Hickory, going down there. Shout out to my boy Joey Lankford, real friends, authentic friends. You know what I'm saying? People was checking on me. I was praising God when Mama was about to check out, you know, because I was praising him because I knew that it was a purpose. You know what I'm saying? I knew that I had the opportunity to be at my mom's bedside reading her favorite scripture to her, playing music on this same MacBook right here. You know what I'm saying? Playing music for her, you know. So I'm going to praise him now. Now that he started blessing me, and I'm going to keep praising him. I'm going to praise him for the breakthrough for that client I mentioned. And she know who I'm talking about. You know, I have experienced her struggle since she been out, bro. I have walked it with her. You know, I met a lot of good people when I was working at the Bailey building. They had this program called Viral Pathways. So people would get out of prison and they would come to school and they had all of these resources. It was awesome. I wish we could get that, but you know, it took money to run that because they tackled housing as long as they was in school full time. But man, I met
all the important issues.
Yep. And so, you know what I'm saying? All the people that came through that program are still doing good. And even the ones I'm fighting for to get another job, they're holding down the jobs that they're at. That speaks volumes. Yeah. That shows perseverance. But like, bro, telling you, it's a lot of praising, and I'm praising God prior to it. And I heard Pastor Joseph Hackett. He's a major change agent in the Asheville area. He's I don't know his exact title, but he like runs Green Opportunities. He's the man with the plan, to be honest. But I heard him on a radio show, and he said that the people who have a vision, they see it before they see it. Mm-hmm. The people of God, they see it before they see it. And so I feel like it's very important for me, where I'm at right now, to see it, to know it's going to happen prior to it happening.
Like a vision board.
Yep.
I love it, man. So what's talk about the relationship, the wedding and all that stuff, man.
Oh man, that was crazy, man. So like I said, Mama got that prognosis. When she got that prognosis, man, it was like it was crazy for us all, because Renee has always been like the kind of person that wants to know what's wrong and how she can help. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But she's not gonna leave you alone until she knows what is wrong, because she has really got her mind set on trying to help you, you know. And so she experienced that with me when Mom got that prognosis. And her mom, my mother-in-law, Mama D, suggested that we do a wedding beforehand. You know, we had it scheduled for May the 19th, but we ended up getting married March the 10th. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I can remember this guy named Vince. Man, shout out to Vince and Dana, man. God, shout out to Vince and Dana. Wow. They counseled us. They meet us at Starbucks. We'd be there for an hour or two or three. But we ended up getting married in my mom's room in the hospice house, man. Vince and Dana, yeah, I'm blessed, man.
You are, bro.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm blessed. They drove all the way down there, man. We got married. And my mama, she was having like, I was holding her hand when I said I do. You know? Yep. I was holding her hand, bro. Like we can pull the pictures and you can see it. But it was amazing, man. And she was so proud. And Renee was so, I mean, we knew what time it was. It didn't take us long. Mm-hmm. You know, we was together, I want to say we was together 6 or 7 months before we got married. And, you know, we knew what it was, man, because our biggest commitment was to God. And one thing that Vince and Dana taught us was that it's a 3-cord rope. And when God is interwoven, it's a rope. And a 3-cord rope is not easily broken. Mm-hmm. And that's how we still operate. You know, sometimes
you two and God. Mm-hmm. Three-stranded line.
Yep.
That makes sense, man. I never heard that analogy before, but that makes sense.
He sent me.
Yeah.
He sent me here to say that. That might be why he sent me to Colorway, was to say that. Yep.
What's your goals for 2019, man? What's next? Besides tomorrow's big meeting, what you got on the radar? Yeah.
2019, I don't know. I'm getting ready to load your show up with some booming change agents. I'm finna load you up, bro. I'm finna load you up with some booming change agents, bro. And that's one thing I'm looking forward to doing. Also, I'm looking forward to this collaboration that we have going with Community Action, LifeWorks. Like, it's this lady named Kate Sengogo, and we on the same page. And like, I'm looking to see what God is gonna do. Not that it's it's not a religion. It's not a religious organization. I just say God when I'm talking about what I'm doing. I always say God. And if you don't believe in God, good orderly direction. But I'm looking forward to seeing how that program is gonna grow. I'm looking forward to getting my I don't know if I'm gonna complete my bachelor's degree this year. I don't know how many classes I have left. I'm gonna have a senior in high school this year.
What's that like, man? Raising a teenager?
Recovery is for a reason.
Yeah.
It helps. You know, I got people, Robert H. It's a guy named Robert H., man. He raised his daughter, bro. I'm talking about, like, I know some giants, bro. Like, my predecessors, I can really look back at my predecessors and say, you know, they might be aggressive, they might be this and that, but they about that life. You know, I had to hit Robert H. up many a times and ask him for advice, you know, about parenting. You know, because it's hard, especially when you have a pretty daughter. I have a beautiful daughter, you know, and it's rough, you know, and she's dating now, you know, and I work out. You know, I work out, I do cardio and all that. I whoop a nigga ass, bro. Nah, but like I love my daughter, man, and I'm prayed up. You know, it's not easy. You know, we have difference in opinion. I have a 13-year-old, you know, and me and her kind of, we've been beefing here back and forth. It's parenting is a trip, man. Yeah. Parenting will make you go to church.
How much of them do you see yourself in them?
Oh God, I see me all in my oldest, like from swag to popularity. Like, I seen her come out the house last night. We went and got ice cream. When I seen her come out the house, she looked a little bit like my mom coming down the steps. But you know, I see that. And then my 13-year-old, you know, when she gets mad, she looks like her mom. And but she, you know, I don't know, man. It's rough. That's the one that I'm worried about. But I'm like I say, I'm prayed up, and I have a team of change agents that's supporting me, you know, and me and her mom, we co-parent, and we do the best we can, you know. But that's the thing about having kids out of wedlock, man. I believe it's a price to pay behind that. You know, there's some struggles that come. I believe it's some additional struggles that come from that as well.
You mentioned in your like bio that you sent me earlier, one of the places that you find some serenity is the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about what that's like. How'd you like? Is that something you've always done? Is it something that you kind of learned along this process of recovery? So what does that provide for you?
So the thing is, bro, when I was on the yard, right? When I was on the yard, I can remember I was supposed to have a visit. I was walking at Craggy. Anybody that's been to Craggy, they already know what I'm talking about. I was walking back and forth up the walkway waiting on my visit to come. My visit never showed. I was fresh. I had my little oil on, had my brand new Balances on. I was fresh. I was ready for my visit, ready to see my kids and all that, whatever. Didn't show. It crushed me. I want to say this happened in 2009, and it crushed me. And I can remember going on a weight pal, pissed off, pull-ups, dips, push-ups, lifting heavy weight, walking laps, talking to my bro GA, free GA, one of the best friends I ever had. I met in Craggy Correctional Center, and I seen that it worked. Like, it was something that I really do, and it takes the stress off. I can be pissed off, but I work the stress off. You know, get something to eat, and you know, and then I'm too tired to be too mad
to worry about anything.
Yeah. And also, like, sometimes I do it to prepare myself for a rough day or for a potentially intense day. Like today,
I you did this morning.
Yeah, like, cause I knew the day was gonna be intense, bro. For one, because I have my baby girl, my 5-year-old. Well, Juju is my youngest child, but my 5-year-old. stays at our house. Sometimes Thursday through Monday. Sometimes Friday through Monday. And so I knew I was gonna have to fight her, getting her up because they stayed up late. But I also knew that I had a busy schedule. Like I had back-to-back meetings as well as a caseload to tend to. So I knew it was gonna be intense. Plus getting ready for this meeting tomorrow. And so I went to the gym because I said, you know what, I'm finna make sure that I get this out and feel good about myself, you know, and be at peace. And got it out the way, and I went to work. When I got home, like I said, you know, I got that call from my bro Michael Hall. It's crazy how the God of my understanding works, bro. Cause he just hit me out of nowhere. He's like, hey, bro, and that's how he talked. But this was a text. I'm sounding like how he talks, but in the text,
that's what you heard when you read it.
Yeah. It's like, hey, bro, call me ASAP. You know what I'm saying? And I hit him up, and it was like, God want me to pray for you. You ready? And I hit my knees. You know, and he prayed over the phone. You know what I'm saying? And after he finished praying, it was like I was ready. Like me and my 5-year-old, we was beefing this morning. You know, I don't know what the hell was wrong with her this morning. She got up, she was tripping. I had, we didn't have waffles, but we had chocolate chip pancakes.
Wasn't good enough.
Golly, Lord help it. So me and her beefing. I was wanting to whoop her this morning, but you know, I'm a hard daddy, but I'm a soft daddy. You know what I'm saying? So. You know, me and her beefing. By the time I got off of that prayer, I went in there and I poured her some drink in her little princess cup. And then I had a sausage biscuit. She didn't want to eat none of that other stuff. I said, here, why don't you try a couple bites of this croissant sandwich? And she looking at me with that face. I hear, just taste the bread. Because, you know, croissant sandwich bread is amazing. But she ate a piece of the bread, and she looked at me, and I knew she was bought because croissant. And then I brought her little favorite chips over there. You know, they have these, you know, the Chex Mix. Yeah. You know, the little brown Melba, whatever. Yeah, they have a bag just full of those. Okay. So then I snuck over there and took it out. Just after that prayer, it gave me peace. I didn't want to fight no more. Here's my peace offering to my 5-year-old. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Living proof, bro.
Yep.
Alabama or Clemson?
Man, Richie Tannehill asked me that today. Shout out to Richie Tannehill, man. Man, I'm talking about he the white version of me. You know what I'm saying? Richie, I bet you won't grow a beard.
So I met Richie before I met you. Yeah. And so like when I was talking to some of my close friends around here and telling them that you were coming on tonight, I was like, yeah, he's like the Richie of you're like the Richie of Asheville. That's what I was telling people.
But yeah, he came by. He asked me that today. And I think he said that his favorite team was Nebraska and anybody that's playing Alabama.
Yeah, okay.
But I have two people that's somewhat close to me that, you know, have played for both of them teams. Like I used to go to the same church at Sycamore with Cresden Butler. And then Jeffrey Pagan's mom and I used to go to the River of Life. So, I mean, shout out to both of them teams. But in this change agency that I'm on right now, bro, I am not keeping up with sports or politics. Yeah. Like, I'll be at the gym on the elliptical. I might be catching up, seeing what they got to say about that wall. Yeah. But
just so you can get your tax return in a month.
But, like, I don't really keep up with sports and stuff like that. I watch World Star at night, and I watch sermons. Mm-hmm. I watch sermons, and I window shop. And listen, I got a little bit of money, and I'll buy something off of eBay. But I don't do a lot of watching sports.
The politics is a slippery slope, but like in this like recovery advocacy circles, it does play like somewhat of a certain issues. You know, it does play somewhat of a vital role, like you know, elected officials and things like that. You ever thought about getting involved?
A couple people have asked me. It's gonna happen. Yeah, I know it's gonna happen. I mean, if I stay in Asheville, it has to. I would be considered. It would be considered robbery if I didn't get into politics. Mm-hmm. If I stayed in Asheville and didn't become some type of politician on some level, it would be robbery to the city, considering to the community, mm-hmm. considering the connections I have in the black community, the white community, the rich community, the poor community, the trailer parks. I mean, I'm good from Pisgah View to Biltmore Forest. Yeah. You feel me? So it would be robbery to the community if I didn't, but like not yet. Because I'm trying to solidify something. This program, this would be amazing. Like, if I could rewind time to when I was in the Human Services program, I wish Megan Getty Odom still had the assignments. We had an assignment where we were supposed to create a program.
Yeah. We did that.
And this is it.
It was like a case management class or something like that?
I forget what it was. Yeah. It was one of them. But I was talking about creating a program for former offenders way back then, 2000, whatever it was, 2012 maybe. And
6 years later, you're doing it.
Yeah. But, you know, and as far as like the talks about like race and stuff, like, to be honest, the way I feel like recovering addicts is a race.
Yeah.
You know, like and I feel like former ex-offenders is a race. Mm-hmm. You know, sure, white privilege exists even when you have backgrounds, and I see it all the time, you know, but at the same time, we all face that similar struggle of re-entering society, you know, and so I don't really get heavy in the race, and I'm careful with the politics. Now, when I was in school, I was in the microeconomics and the macroeconomics, and I was ready to get in it real quick then, and I was making certain posts, and people was pissing me off. My boy Alikhan would call me out, because Alikhan is one of them people, like, you get a job and you work somewhere, and you get close with somebody, and they help you grow. This guy, he would sharpen me. He would help me understand what I just posted. Yeah. Like I would post
it. I hope you understand it.
I hope you understand who all you affected with that post. Did you think about that? And then I'm like feeling stupid. Like, well, I ain't posting that. I'm F politics, you know. Because, you know, it
sounds like a good PR guy for your future campaign you're about to run. For sure.
Yeah.
Man, you're a sticker guy, man?
Oh, yeah, man. I brought my water bottle in here. Yeah, I got all the stickers, and each one of these serves a purpose, man. I don't know if they can see. If they can see,
see it. Yeah, I can see it. They can see it.
They can see it.
What you know about some East Bay, man?
East Bay.
That's we grew up.
Shoot, man, I grew up looking. Yeah. I grew up having wet dreams while looking at East Bay, man. I wanted all the shoes. You know what I'm saying? I remember sitting shoe, and then what the shoe? You know. This right here, vape company, Kale. I love me some Kale. You know what that is. I can't promote that one, but I keep it on my MacBook.
What are your thoughts on that?
On this one?
On that
promotion?
Yeah.
I respect the traditions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now I wear a sticker or I wear some shirts that are like discreet about it. Mm-hmm. But, you know, out of respect for the traditions, like I don't promote a specific program because it's based on attraction rather than promotion. But I live a life to where people gonna ask me how do you do it?
Yeah.
And then I can tell you.
Yeah.
But it ain't, hey, you should do this program, because other programs work too. Yeah. You know, it's different 12-step programs in existence. You know, like right now, to be honest, for the past since May, since my mama passed away, I've been more active in CR.
What does CR provide?
CR is Celebrate Recovery. It's Jesus. Mm-hmm. Like it's 12 steps with Jesus. Like the Serenity Prayer is a little bit longer, you know, and it has more Jesus in it. And the Bible, like you go deeper in the Bible.
So now, it's more in line with your spirituality, you would say?
Yeah, but I'm not leaving the other fellowship. Like I said, man, I'm really considering and asking, but hey, remind me, I want to make that 12:30 meeting.
That's the third time you said it.
Yeah, I want to make it my home group, and I'm got to figure out a way to commit to it at least once a week, 12:30 on a lunch break. But I'll never leave because that's the foundation, and I feel like it would be robbery if I left it, you know, because for one, it ain't that many young black men in recovery. For two, it ain't but so many young people who are staying spiritual, you know, because I see some people get clean time and then they get caught up in that money, property, and prestige or chasing tail, you know, so I have to be there to continue to be what it looks like. I mean, there's no model for the recovering addict, but I have to be the model sometimes within, you know, because in Asheville, we're saturated, bro. Yeah. To be honest, we got a whole bunch of treatment centers. We got a whole bunch of newcomers. We got a whole bunch of halfway houses. So somebody's got to be like, you know, there to hold these youngins accountable.
And demonstrate.
And speak their language.
Yeah.
You know, it's
someone
the same
that they can relate to. Like those guys that were there when you first walked in.
Facts. The same way that they did for me. Now, they was a lot older than me, you know, but I was just taught by them, so I can still take what they gave me and use a language that the younger generation speaks. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm blessed to be in this position, and there's other people like me. Like I'm to the point now to where, yes, I will say I got the juice. Like I can be cocky at times, but I'm also humble. You know what I'm saying? Because I know for a fact that I slipped. Like I done cussed on here a couple times, and I said my New Year's resilience was gonna be to watch my potty mouth. Hell, I've been cussing on here already. You know, I'm defected. I'm insecure. I'm jealous. I envy. You know, I got issues. But when it come down to carrying a message to the newcomer, shoot, I try to be flawless, as flawless as I can be, because I know that their life depends on it. You know, it ain't just about making me look good. It's about saving your life, you know.
And not just their life, but then future generations' life. In the future
generation. And just like I said, I go back, you know, and it's interesting because, you know, the 12 steps came from the Holy Bible, period. But, you know, in the steps, it talks about, you know, I forget what chapter it is. It said the only way to keep what we have is by giving it away. And one of the reasons it says the only way to keep what we have is by giving it away, right? And in the Proverbs, it says that we preserve knowledge, we preserve wisdom, let our lips preserve wisdom and knowledge. So in order for me to stay sharp, I got to be talking it. I got to be delivering. I got to be teaching it. And in order for me to have peace, I got to be a man of integrity. So if I'm talking it, I'm also walking it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, it's my obligation to carry the message, but it's also my obligation to operate as a man of integrity. You know, and with that whole casserole put together, that thing cheesy like something from Olive Garden. You know what I'm saying? Because I got my bros holding me accountable, making sure that I'm a man of integrity. That takes humility, right? But I'm carrying in the message because I have to do service, and that's honesty. But I'm walking it out. And so they're seeing me talking it and walking it. And now they start trying it out, and it works for them. Then they teach other people how to do it, and it's a domino effect. Yeah. And all of a sudden,
you're influencing major change.
Yeah, and somebody did it for me. You know, like my grand sponsor. He been a man. He got more clean time than I've been alive. Yeah. You know, he been clean for a long time. 42, 44. He up there.
You were fortunate to get clean at an early age yourself, to where at some point you're gonna be that cat.
Yeah, because I got clean at 24. Yeah, I got clean at 24 years old, bro. You know, and it was unique getting out, being young. You know, ride through the hood. Because I was the kind of guy when I got out of prison, I still like to ride through the hood. Because I was driving a Honda. My daddy had me a Honda Accord. It was a newer Honda. It was like a 2006. It was a newer Honda Accord. I used to like to ride through the hood with my music up loud, you know, so people could see me. Look at me. I'm clean. Look at my dreads. You know what I'm saying? Fresh. And I can remember being in the hood and smelling that weed. Like, woo, boy.
Temptation there?
Yeah. But, it didn't take me long to learn that lesson, you know, not to be around it, because, you know, I don't want to keep tempting myself and then change my clean date. Not today. No, sir.
How'd you get into the public speaking? And then what influenced you to kind of pursue that as like a kind of side gig?
Really, recovery has been good to me. Now that I think this radio show has taught me that recovery has really been good. I mean, not just this taught me, but it's good. It's refreshing, because I started out speaking at recovery meetings, at celebrations, and a lot of different people would get me to share, because like I said, like I'm basically sharing what my predecessors gave me. I just speaking in the language that I speak, and continuing to do that. I spoke in Clemson, spoke in Shelby, spoke in Durham, I spoke a lot of different places. But like my boy Kenny Lake was the first one to invite me to speak somewhere that was outside of a recovery meeting, like to his boys. And that did something for me. And then, you know, the next place that I spoke at a scholarship. I don't know, it just started happening. The more people would come up to me and tell me, like, man, we love it. I just I got more and more confident. And then I started to run groups. Like Susan started paying me to run groups some years ago. And started doing like that, and it just turned into being a motivational speaker, man. I watch motivational speakers. It's basically just them telling their story, bits and pieces, how they made it through, some of the hardest things they went through, they didn't think they could go through, talk loud a little bit, make people laugh a little bit, but tell the truth, of course. I mean, that's all it really is.
Authentic honesty.
Authentic honesty. A-H. That's my new thing. Sometimes you just gotta
odd out, baby.
Yeah. Authentic honesty. Ooh, you done gave me something else.
You know what I want to do, man? I'd like to come check out Elevation Church with you one Sunday. What you think about that? Think me and my girl bring her kid over there? Come check it out with you?
Yeah. We actually got good stuff. we actually got good stuff for the kids.
Yeah.
Good stuff for the kids. The E-Kids, man, is awesome. They have the kids remembering verses and playing. They got theater. Like it's a nice setup that we have at Elevation Church, bro. It is a really nice setup, man, and that's why I keep going too, man, because my kids, they love church. And whatever church I go to, they have to have something good for the children, because I want my children to be able to learn as soon as possible, because this younger generation, we're losing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know.
How many Philip Coopers does it take to influence massive change in these younger generations? You know, how many guys, like,
to be honest, bro,
can we see it? Like, will we see it in our lifetime?
Dang, you see how the just organically came in? Authentic honesty. So I'm gonna answer that question in two ways. So first off, you said how many Philip Coopers do we need? I'm gonna say you need one Philip Cooper, but you got a Michael Hall, you got a Tony Shields, you got a Andre Aronson, you got a Adrian Coffey, you got a Ryan Gray, you got a Brent Bailey, you got a Jonathan Knight, you got a whole bunch. You got a Gene Edison. You got a whole bunch of us. We coming. You got a Wallace Sexton. We coming, bro. We coming. You got a Michael Woods overseeing us. You got a Tillman Jackson. We coming, bro. You know, we all over the place. We coming. We got a Michael Hall. We ain't playing no games. We coming. You know what I'm saying? We got an Austin Crawford. We got all kind of change agents. They're coming. But there are more people to come, and it takes, now the part that makes me unique is because I'm still out in the community searching for these diamonds in the rough. Like, I want to make sure that these people get heard of. I want to make sure that these people get opportunities, you know what I'm saying, to be in a position to affect change, you know. But the second part of it is, like, do I really think that it's going to get better? Now, some people might disagree with this, but this is just the answer, because this is a very religious answer. And I got to be real, authentic honesty. No.
Yeah.
I believe in the entire Holy Word. I don't believe just bits and pieces of it. I believe in the entire Holy Word. I believe that God parted the Red Sea. I don't know what it looked like, but I believe he parted the Red Sea. People went through it. I believe he rose Lazarus from the dead. I believe that this lady named Sarah was old as a mug and messed around and got a prego. You know, I believe all of that. I also believe that, you know, my Savior rose from the dead. Like a lot of things that people will only say exist in movies, but I believe all of these things occurred. But when you get to the book of Revelations, you hear, and in other books, you hear about how in the last days, how the youth would be out of control against parents, and how sexual immorality would be prevalent and stuff like that. But that's what I believe. But that's not going to stop me from still trying to change the world one person at a time when I see people who are trying to help themselves. So that's what my mission is until I leave this earth, and I'm not going to stop. You know, and everybody aren't proud or don't profess Christianity, and I help anybody that's hurting, I help them, and a lot of times just that will kind of bring a person in. Yeah. You know, that's the invitation sometimes.
I think that we're at a pretty crucial point in the opportunity because of the tech boom. We have an opportunity to kind of touch these kids if we begin to use these tools that we've been given in a way that the youth can connect with us and relate to us and hear us, right? Like things like this podcast and things like your like motivational speaking and those videos you post and like more opportunities like using it on YouTube. And as the tech continues to grow, and you know, like with like virtual reality and things like that, where like we can like use these tools in a healthy way to connect with the youth and spread this positive message. Like there's some crazy shit coming out. I saw a drone today that you fly with your brain.
What?
You put this thing on your head. It looks like these headphones we're wearing, and it's a little drone like you like people would fly. And you literally put it on your head and you fly it with your brain. Yeah. Like, it's coming, dude.
They're getting in our heads.
It's coming.
Going down.
Yeah, so, like, how can we... Because, like, there's so much crap on there on social media. Yeah. There's so much crap.
I don't know. Somebody told me, Hassie, a good friend of mine, she works over at ARC. She was telling me that I needed to utilize YouTube and stuff more, but I just hadn't got into it because, like I say, bro, like, this mission I'm on right now within workforce development for the ex-offenders, like it's got me. Yeah. I've all the way given that my all until it comes to fruition. And then once it comes to fruition, then I'm going to be able to go out in the community to place people in that to help run it, you know, and then I can kind of back a little bit and maybe put more time into that. But I definitely want to do it because I got a lot to say. Like I be at home sometimes and I'll say something to my damn self and be like, damn.
Write that down.
Or either I'll hear somebody say something and I'll borrow it and
run
I'll
with
say
it.
And I'll add it into something I say. Yeah, and it's like.
I got a buddy that's got a YouTube channel up in New York City.
Yeah.
He lives right in Manhattan, right in the middle of it all. And he just does like little 1-2 minute little videos to the kids, to youth on like just general topics of, you know, living right. And he's got a pretty significant following. He's looking for people to do add some videos, help him out a little bit.
I know another thing that I'm really hoping can happen, man. You know, like I said, I had that meeting with my brother, my doppelganger, Richie Tannehill today. And like, if we can get certified peer supports in the school, it's on, like, because it's a unique service, but I can only imagine what type of impact we can have on these. And I mean, young girls need help too, but I can only imagine what type of impact this could have on some of these at-risk youth to have a certified peer support mentor, or you know what I'm saying, or coach or whatever. However this thing can happen, that would rock the world. You know what I'm saying? That would definitely rock the world, because I know some kids that just gravitate towards me because they don't see a male enough. They don't see a male, a grown-up male enough, and they see you and they just gravitate towards, just asking questions, messing with you, just wanting attention. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that's the missing piece to the puzzle is like the positive mentorship. Yeah. And I kind of asked you that at the very beginning of the show, like who were your mentors? Yeah. And that's kind of like why, because I think that's the missing piece. And now it's like finding the mentors and then connecting them with the youth.
And me, man, I got a sponsor. I got a sponsor in, well, with me being active in 2 programs, I have 2 sponsors. I have a sponsor in each one. One of the sponsors I don't talk to as much, but I still talk to him on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis just to check in out of respect for his time that he has put in to me. And then the other one I see on a weekly basis, and we have a step study. You know, and I don't really talk to him as much about my issues as I do the other sponsor, but he's the one that's going through the steps with me, right? And then I have a guy that I deal with for like a mentor with business-related things. His name is Dr. Joseph Fox. He was one of the first people that invested in me in my college career, you know. And then I have Theo, my brother Theo. He's a minister at the River of Life, and me and him talk. You know what I'm saying? And he's a person that is ready to sharpen me at the draw. I could call him right now during this show, and if he don't answer, he'll probably text or either call right back and say, "What's up, bro? You good?" You know, and I need all of that. I need spiritual guidance, like Christian-based spiritual guidance. I need NA guidance from working within that model, because that model is a little different from when you add the religion to it. It is. And then I also need, you know, guidance with business affairs, because I like in recovery, I learned that we must remain teachable. You know what I'm saying? And another thing I heard is you can't graft a new idea onto a closed mind. And I know for a fact I don't know everything. That's one thing I do know. And it's just a blessing to have people that's willing to teach and invest in me, you know.
Still to this day.
Still to this day.
That's beautiful, man. Well, hey, we're going to have to wrap it up.
Okay.
It's a little after 9 o'clock, man. It's a little after 9.
Getting it in.
Y'all got a long drive ahead of you. I'm going to give you one of these NC Raw stickers.
Oh, you got something got to go.
You could slap that. See. No, you could slap it anywhere you want. You can go on your cup or something if you want. You don't have to. You don't got to replace nothing, man.
Something got to go.
You got any closing words, and how can like our audience find you, connect with you, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Philip Cooper. I'm on Snapchat. I think it's Change Agent Cooper. I'm on Instagram, Change Agent Cooper. And you're going to get the same me on all 3 of them, because the only thing I got is authenticity. And I can't wear a mask, because if you rock with me, you rock with me because I'm real. So what I say on my Snap, I say on my Facebook, I say on my Insta, and I say on my LinkedIn. And closing words, I'm just going to say this. It's a prayer that I got from a place. I offer myself to thee, to build with me and do with me as thy wilt. Deliver me from the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Relieve me of my difficulties, that victory over them would bear witness to those that I would help. Of thy love, thy power, and thy way of life, may I do thy will always. With the emphasis on, relieve me of my difficulty, take away my difficulties, with the emphasis on that. Because as people see me make it through my difficulties, it's going to bear witness of who my God is and what the God of my understanding can do.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you, man.
My man.
Thank y'all for tuning in to NC Raw. Hit up our website at www.ncraw.life to subscribe to the podcast. We'll email you exclusive content every time we release a new show, and we got. I'll hit you guys in the intro, but we have 2 additional shows this week. Excuse me. We are coming to Asheville twice. Thursday night, Jennifer Nicolaisen of I'm having a brain fart. Jennifer, the peer group that's about connection. What am I talking about? Thursday night we're doing a podcast. I'm having a brain fart right now. And then Friday around noon at Making Whole, my man Jeremy French.
Okay.
He does the woodworking shop for people in recovery. He takes on apprentices and teaches them a trade and a skill, teaches them someone you need to connect with.
Okay.
Teaches them how to build custom furniture through this apprenticeship. And Jeremy French, yeah. Called the business is called Making Whole. We're doing a podcast and a lunch. So we're inviting everybody in Asheville. We're inviting everybody to lunch. We're gonna have lunch together and do a little podcast and talk to each other and stuff. Okay. So my voice, I'm losing my voice. So y'all have an awesome night.
Bless up.
Bless up. Thanks for checking us out. Good night.